getting really conscious of the voice in your head and the things that like people don't even realize that they're saying to themselves or they're unintentionally asking for. And it's once we shine the light of awareness on these unconscious patterns, they no longer have control over us. And that's really when we take our power back and we're able to control our lives.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So I have been struggling with my mindset a little bit lately due to purchasing a house and running some businesses and just kind of trying to know really where to go and what to do. And, you know, sometimes those negative thoughts pop back into my head, like, can you really do this? And so for me, whenever I have an issue, I just reach out to an expert. So today we're going to talk with Lucie Lynn about mindset. So welcome, Lucie.
Thank you, Paula, so much for having me. I'm excited and grateful to dive into all things mindset.
So I know that everybody struggles with that. I don't know anybody that hasn't in their past had those negative thoughts pop into your head, and you don't want to believe them, but if they keep coming back and coming back and coming back, you tend to start to believe. So if you keep thinking, I'm never going to have enough money, I'm broke, then ultimately you become broke. So how does somebody change that?
Yeah, talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think it's really important to understand the fundamentals and to understand that we live in a vibrational universe and we live in an attraction-based universe where your thoughts become things, and the quality of our thoughts determine the quality of our life. So therefore, if we want a better life, we're going to have to very intentionally, very consciously become aware of the thoughts that we're thinking and change them. And that way we can start being able to access better emotions, higher vibrational emotions, which are going to therefore affect the decision making, moving us closer to our goals. So so I like to talk a lot about peak performance. So if we know that we are where we are today based on every single decision that we've made up until this point, we can very confidently say that decision shapes our destiny. Well, what's the one thing that influences every single decision that we make? It's our emotional state, our energy, our energetic state, however you want to call it. And so I like to explain it in a way where, what is a peak emotional state? A peak emotional state is when you're feeling, think about the last time where you felt on fire, where you felt passionate, where you felt alive and just totally unstoppable. Like you could hurdle over any obstacle that was placed in your path. So that's when you were at a peak emotional state. Then I like to ask the question, how many hours a day do you operate in this state? And people will think and be like, maybe not that many, not as many as I'd like to. Well, how many hours a week? How many hours a month are you actually operating at full capacity where you feel on fire, passionate, totally alive and unstoppable? And the reason why I ask that is because a lot of people are operating in these lower vibrational emotions and frequencies of stress, frustration, fear, or overwhelm. And the difference is you're going to be making drastically different decisions when you're operating in a peak emotional state versus if you're operating in a lower vibrational state, like I said, like stress or fear.
But
and so it's really important.
How does somebody, I hear what you're saying, but I also know life.
Yeah.
And I also know that the guy that cuts you off in when you're driving to work, and the coworker who's nasty to you, and you want to operate in that peak performance, but you have all these external resources that get in there and try to mess you up. So how do you do that? How do you stop letting them mess you up?
This is perfect. So this is exactly what I teach my clients. So this is where we go from a Newtonian model of the world to a quantum model of the world. And essentially what I do is I give people a whole toolbox of different strategies and techniques that's setting them up for these exact moments in life, because life is going to happen. Life is going to throw its curveballs at us, and we need to be prepared emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, all the things. And so when we talk about the Newtonian model of the world, that's basically states like cause and effect. An event happens that triggers an emotion. So let's say somebody cuts you off, and therefore, that triggers an emotion within you. Or it could be positive. Something good happens. I don't know, your friend calls and tells you that she won a trip to Cancun and she's got an extra space for you, and you just so happen to have vacation time. And so you guys go on a fun trip together. So an event happens, and then it triggers the emotion that follows. Well, in the quantum model of the world, it's causing an effect. So it's flipping it around. So essentially, it's living from the inside out, which means instead of having to experience the event first in order to feel the emotion, you are emotionalizing the feeling of already experiencing the event. And in doing so, you are attracting that event or that circumstance into your physical reality. And so that's why I really like to really explain first the idea that we live in a vibrational universe where all things move and all things vibrate. If you look at atoms and matter, if you break down, everything's made of matter. If you break down what an atom's made of, it's got the electrons, protons, neutrons, depending on the speed of the electron that's vibrating around, encircling the atom. That's going to depend if it's gas, liquid, or solid. It's going to dictate the state of whatever it is. But everything is made of atoms. Everything is made of energy. We are energetic beings by nature, and we're constantly interpreting vibration through our five senses. When we hear a sound, we're interpreting the vibration of the sound. When we look, and we're interpreting the light spectrum, depending on the frequency of the light waves, is going to determine the color. So, and same thing with touch, smell, and taste. Those are all vibrations that we are interpreting. So once we start to understand that everything is made of energy and everything vibrates, then we start to understand that our thoughts are also energetic and they also carry a frequency, that our words are energetic and they carry a frequency. So then we start to understand that we take back control of our lives, and then we really get to, it starts getting fun at this point, because then we're like, wait a second, we don't have to be the victim to the external circumstances of everything that's happening around us. Because what I like to say is people are either default creators or they're deliberate creators. And default creators is going to be like 98% of the world, where you're moving through the world and you see, and you're just observing external people, places, things, and you're allowing your external world to dictate how you're feeling internally. And that's living from the outside in. And what you focus on is what you're going to create. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you're constantly living from a memory of the past, or you're constantly focusing on your current 3D reality, you're just going to continue to be, you're going to be stuck in a loop and continuing to be creating more of what already is.
Okay, so
instead of living from a vision of the future.
So I completely understand that, because I am experiencing that philosophy. But a listener, like, put it in terms of how you would explain it to a 5-year-old.
Okay, this is fun. Basically, I would say I have a little niece. And so how I would explain it to her is that you, my dear, are a very powerful, magnificent creator. And whatever you can think of, whatever you can dream up, use your imagination as audaciously as you can, and then know that you are worthy. You have to believe it. So that's what I like to talk about, belief, because belief is what bridges the gap between where you're at and where you want to be. And that's why it's easier to talk to children about imagination and belief, because they don't have all of this conditioning from past traumas or paradigms that their parents have placed on them. So they're kind of a little bit more of a clean slate.
Okay, so let me interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt for a second. So I get that part. So you're telling your niece that, you know, she can imagine anything she wants as long as she believes she's worthy. But then here comes her brother and tells her she's ugly. So how does she then turn that around?
That is simply just understanding that. So, the power of suggestion is also very important. And that's why it's so important to realize that the people that we surround ourselves with, like we are the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with, and different people in our lives will make different suggestions. And it's up to us to figure out what suggestions we want to believe and internalize and hold on to. And so, in his suggestion of what his opinion is, it's she's going to have to understand that, oh, that is his. Why is he saying something that is hurtful? And why does he want to hurt me? It's like hurt people hurt people. And so then explaining that, no, he's feeling out of alignment. He's not feeling his best self. And because of that, that's why he's choosing to say unkind things. You don't have to take that on and own that as your own. Not just like I like to tell people, not every thought that we think is true, and not everything that people tell us is true. We are able, not only are we blessed with freedom of focus to be able to choose what it is that we want to focus on, because what you focus on is what you feel, but we have the ability to pick and choose what thoughts serve us, as well as what beliefs we want to embody as our own. A belief at the end of the day is nothing more than a thought that we keep thinking. And so many people are so attached to their beliefs, even when their beliefs are hurting them and holding them back from achieving the goals that they desire to achieve.
And lots of times your belief is not even true. Like, it's just not true. It's like if I said to you, Lucie, you're unattractive. It's just totally not true. But I guess if enough people told you that, you would eventually believe that.
Start to believe it.
And yeah. So, and there are a lot has to do with the external influences in our lives influence our beliefs. Even though we say, okay, you can say every day, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, I'm pretty, pretty. I know this is about money, not having to do with looks, but you just tend to, I guess, how do you break that? Like, I know how I do it for myself, but how would you say to someone, stop that thought and turn it around and make it into a positive thought?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. One of the things that I'm a huge proponent of is meditation. The definition of meditation means to become aware of oneself. So when you spend any time in meditation, I like to talk about it as a practice. What it allows you to do is, like, when you close your eyes and you focus in on your breath, you're allowing yourself to very intentionally raise your vibration. How are you raising your vibration? You're letting go of all of the worry, all of the fear, all of the doubt, all of the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And then as you sit in that state of peace, you'll notice that it's really hard to shut the mind off. So then a thought is going to flow in. And then it's in the recognition of that thought as it flows in that you're like, oh, wait, I'm thinking a thought. And then you can lovingly release it. And then 5, 10, 30 seconds later, another thought is going to flow in. And then you can, unintentionally fall down the rabbit hole of like, oh, I got to pick my kids up from school. And then I got to go do laundry. And then I got to I got to call the doctor, make the doctor's appointment. And then da, 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 da. And then even if you fall down the rabbit hole of all of those thoughts, then it's like, oh, wait, I got to stop. I'm thinking again. And then it's in the recognition of your thoughts that you lovingly release them. And then you're like, oh, okay, going back to my breath. I'm going to focus on my breath. And the reason why so many people, at least so many of my clients, will start off saying like, oh, I've tried meditation. It doesn't work for me. I can't quiet my mind. And I'm like, well, you're not dead. You're not supposed to necessarily quiet your mind. It's a practice. And the reason why this practice is so powerful, because it's allowing you to become aware of each and every single thought that's flowing into your mind. So many people they think that every thought that comes into their mind is their thought. They believe that they are their thoughts. And then it's really important for us to really step back and become the observer of our thoughts. Once we become the observer of our thoughts, we see them come in, and then we can choose, wait, does this thought actually serve me? And then once you have awareness of the thoughts that you're thinking, then you can very intentionally shift your thought or shift your perspective or shift how maybe change your
Okay.
story.
So let's use an example. So let's say that the thought comes in, I'm not worthy.
Yes.
Which is a lot of people's belief.
Yes.
So the thought comes in, I'm not worthy. How do I shift it? What do I just say? Yes, I am. I mean, how do you shift it?
It's not. So like, yes, first of all, it's like you hear yourself say that. Like we all have that internal dialogue, that negative voice in our head that's constantly tearing us down and telling us that we're not worthy. And so as soon as you hear that or feel that, then it's in recognize, like, that's not true. That's not true. I am worthy. I know I'm worthy. So first it's recognizing that that thought even came in, and then it's immediately changing it and then being like, I am. And then that's one of the things that you can do. And then another thing that I'll have my students do is like when we're doing I am affirmations. So we might do one page of I am affirmations, like I am bold, I am beautiful, I am brilliant, I am unstoppable, the whole 9 yards, whatever it is. And then on the next page, I do an I am worthy. And so this is really beautiful. And it might be like, I am worthy because I'm kind. I am worthy because I smile. I am worthy because, like, I did this a long time ago. I started doing it from an abundance meditation, and it was kind of like, I'm abundant. I am worthy of abundance because, and then I'd be like, because I speak 4 languages. I am worthy because I add value wherever I go. I am worthy because I raise the energy and spread love and positivity. Whatever it is, like whatever you can think of, it could just be like, I am worthy. Because I try my best. I am worthy because I'm an incredible mother. I am worthy because I wake up and I show up for my husband or whatever it is. And so people may, and I mean, at the end of the day, like we are worthy because we are here and we are alive. And a lot of people like take that,
Yes.
a lot of people take that for granted, or they don't give themselves enough credit. And so it's really just like taking the small things. And when you do these little practices every single day, so I have my students do an I am, and I am worthy, and then I deserve. And so the I deserve is really fun because you get to use your imagination. You get to think of like all of the wonderful things that you deserve, whether it's material or not. It can be anything from like, I deserve a beautiful equestrian estate that sits on 100 acres, or I deserve to look in the mirror with confidence and pride. I deserve loving relationships with positive communication. I deserve to step on the scale and smile each morning. I deserve to look in the mirror and know my worth and my beauty. Or I deserve to watch my bank account grow week after week. I deserve an opulent, abundant lifestyle. I deserve tropical vacations once a month. And so you just like write down you just use your imagination. We have been conditioned to use our imagination to worry. And so it's like the news and the TV and the news and even like social media can have us conditioned to always to focus on the bad and focus on what we don't want, and really use our imagination to think of every single possibility that could go wrong. And it's like, no, wait, stop, you're doing it wrong. Flip it around and think about every single thing that could go right. And so when you do these practices, whether it's once a week or once a month, you start rewiring your subconscious mind and to start looking at things differently. And it really shifts your perspective. And then even when you shift your perspective, it's kind of like it takes you away from this victim role where so many people, again, like we've gotten really accustomed to blaming outside things, people, circumstances for our shortcomings.
I think that I think a large majority of the population lives in the victim role. And, this happened to me because of this, and I don't deserve that because of this. And I think forgiveness is huge. You got to forgive yourself first for being the victim and then move forward to becoming the person that you were truly meant to be. So I do
Yes.
a lot of the things that you already talk about. And the one thing that I do that I do every morning is I just say, God, surprise and delight me today. And when I say that, I then now am, by putting it out there in the universe, I look for all the good surprises and delights. Now, it's not like, some aren't always obvious, but most of them are, and you're like, oh, thank you for that. So that's kind of how I've helped change my mindset, was just focusing on every single positive thing that I see throughout the day, and it just always makes me smile. And then I always say thank you right after I have noticed that. So that's what I do.
I love that so much, because what I love about what you do is you're asking God to provide you with things that are going to surprise and delight you, which is absolutely perfect. Sometimes what I'll see people do is, like, I remember I was at I was training with Mickey. He's an MMA fighter, and like there's this other guy at the gym there who's another trainer, but he's like very like overwhelmingly negative. Like he just like radiates like negative energy. And I remember one of the days he was just like, I wonder what else can go wrong today. And I have been there and I have said that. And I've also experienced friends, when you say what else can go wrong today? Like, do
Well, you're
never
asking for it.
you're literally asking for it, and you're inviting things that you don't want to experience in your life. And just like remember that whatever you ask is you will receive. So when you wake up
Mhm.
and ask for delightful surprises, you're going to find them. You will find that miracles and blessings, big and small, will be sprinkled along your path, waiting for you to unwrap and enjoy them. Where somebody else who is like, oh God, like what kind of shit show is today going to be? And it's just like, no, like you're literally asking for that. So that's why, again, it's getting really conscious of the voice in your head and the things that like people don't even realize that they're saying to themselves, or they're unintentionally asking for. And it's once we shine the light of awareness on these unconscious patterns, they no longer have control over us. And that's really when we take our power back and we're able to control our lives.
Yeah, it's so funny when I'll think something and I'll go, oh, well, this can happen. And usually when I think that, it's like a negative thing can happen. I'm like, oh, whoa, take that back, take that back, take that back. I didn't really think that, because you're like, oh no, it's out there now. I don't want that.
Yes.
So how can someone work with you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we have a 16-week program that helps people rewire their subconscious mind and transform their identity. So that way they can start taking massive action towards their goal. Because again, we are where we are today based on every single action, thought, decision that we've made up until this point. So if you want new results, if you want an incredible new future, you're essentially going to have to think new thoughts and take wildly different actions than you have, which means you're going to have to transform your identity to become the person who has the life that you want to create. And what that means is death of the ego, essentially. So it's transforming your
That's a
identity.
toughie.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's a
wild.
toughie.
And so
That's a toughie.
what we do is we take people through this whole process of rewiring your subconscious mind. What we've done is we've condensed this 16-week program into a 6-part series. It's about 2 hours, and it's a very digestible 6-piece series where people have access to different strategies and techniques, whether it's meditation or different intention setting processes, that they can start implementing in their day to day, so that way they can immediately start feeling better and start showing up for themselves and really becoming the best versions of themselves, mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually, for themselves and for their family, their loved ones, and their community. And normally this training sells for $1,000 on our website, but we actually have a promo code. So if you go to ultimatesuccessblueprint.com, that's the website. And if you type in promo code paycheck for you and your listeners, you can actually download that training at absolutely no cost. And we,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that's my
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
who doesn't like something for no cost?
yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
And then on social
Thank
media,
you.
we have it's a Facebook group. It's called Transformation Nation. If anybody goes, if you can find me on Facebook under Lucie's Bubble, like Fiercely Protect Your Bubble, LUCIES Bubble, Lucie's Bubble. The Transformation Nation is an incredible community where we're putting out like tangible tools every single day on how to become the best version of yourself. But it's an interactive community where we're just pouring into everybody every single day. And then, like I said, for me, meditation is a non-negotiable. Every day I open my eyes. As soon as I open my eyes, I meditate. So I decided, like, I tell everybody, if there's one thing that you can start doing that's going to transform and up level every single area of your life, just start meditating 10, 15 minutes a day. Grant yourself that gift. So every Friday at 10:30 Eastern, I go ahead and I do a live gratitude meditation. So if anybody wants to join Transformation Nation and they want to kickstart their meditation journey, I am here to help.
That's awesome. Oh, it's such a pleasure talking with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paula, for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And since we found out we live in this within 20, 30 minutes from each other, we will have to get together.
Yes.
Okay. So thanks everybody for listening. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can reach me at paulachristine.com.